If I told you that a cheap, rounded piece of plastic lent to you by a friend can change your life, would you believe it? You can't sleep anymore because you've experienced a kind of happiness and optimism you never knew existed. You do your best to rationalize and explain it, but most often you choke up. Let me take a shot at it anyway. I was a steadfast metalhead in my teens, and there wasn't much room for anything else until I met someone. They felt music as passionately as I did, despite our different musical backgrounds. I guess I respected him enough to take him seriously when he said there's something you need to watch. One day at school he took a DVD case out of his backpack and handed it to me. I glanced at the cover. There was a massive crowd in front of a stage and someone standing on it, spreading their arms like Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro. Oasis. There and then, it said on the cover. I had heard of the band before in passing and seen pictures of the famous Gallagher brothers in magazines, often wearing sullen, confrontational expressions. But why would I enjoy their music? I didn't think much of it, but borrowed the DVD nonetheless. I came home bored, went to the computer, inserted the disc and pressed play. A football stadium appeared on the screen, filled with raucous fans screaming as the band walked onto the stage. I recognized the man spreading his arms. Noel Gallagher, one of the two brothers. In a way he looked ordinary, but he did exude elegant leadership, and you could tell who the boss was. He grabbed a Union Jack painted guitar and started playing a groovy instrumental with the band, but something was missing. Where was the other brother? As the song settled into a lull, the roar of the crowd picked up. The younger brother, Liam, strode into view from the side of the stage in a light blue tracksuit. I instinctively stopped breathing. It felt as if I was dreaming, not fully grasping what was going on. The word extraordinary simply didn't do him justice. I had never seen a frontman like him before. He had a vacant, indecipherable face, and when he put his hands behind his back and started to sing, a huge wave of certainty washed over me. He was exactly where he was supposed to be, because this was what he was born into. His swagger and captivating charisma filled the screen when he walked to the front of the stage, spread his arms to greet the fans who had gathered to witness one of the greatest nights in rock history. Why was that? After releasing two record-breaking masterpieces, Definitely Maybe and What's the Story, Morning Glory, they were now at their peak. For the first time headlining football stadiums. And not any stadiums for that matter. They were on their home turf, where their beloved club Manchester City played their home games. This gig would go on to be mentioned every time someone talked about the greatest Oasis concerts, and the reasons are well documented. It was the band's commercial and artistic pinnacle. Every element fell into place perfectly, creating a star that shines to this day. After the intro, they went on to play Acquiesce, a prime example of what this band is all about. A catchy and rough rock and roll banger in the verses that grows into a stadium anthem in the chorus. For the next hour and a half, things like homework, exams and curfews didn't exist as the band played hit after hit, ending with a cover of Slade's Come On Feel the Noise. But why on earth was I personally so mesmerized by all of this? The answer is quite simple. It was the perfect blend of attitude, charisma, and music. These guys didn't reinvent the wheel when it comes to rock and roll. They just did it better than anybody else. There was just enough grit, distortion, and menace, but enough ballads too to keep things dynamic. They dressed like normal guys you'd see on the side of a football pitch, but these were filthy rich rock stars. I guess you don't need the rockstar look if your music makes you untouchable. I simply can't wrap my mind around the fact that two bickering brothers, who are just human beings, were born into this world to caress our souls and lift our spirits this way. I'll never forget the walking. I'll never forget the goosebumps. It felt like being reborn. Not only were the main road gigs a celebration of music and unity, but they were also a wonderful depiction of their time. The stage production was relatively basic. People didn't watch concerts through phone screens to post them on social media. They were there because there's nothing like the uninhibited joy of getting together around the same passion. I'm too young to have attended the concert. I sometimes sigh in envy and think of the privileged people who can say after all these years that I was present. There and then. I wasn't. But 29 years later, I was somewhere else.